And so it goes to heaven, and so am I revenged. That would be scanned. A villain kills my father, and for that I, his sole son, do this same villain and send him to heaven. Why, this is higher in salary, not revenge. I took my father grossly full of bread, with all his crimes broad blown as flush as May. And how his audit stands, who knows, save heaven? But in our circumstance and course of thought, 'tis heavy with him, and am I then revenged? To take him in the purging of his soul when he is fit and seasoned for his passage? No! Up, sword, and know thou a more horrid hent, when he is drunk asleep or in his rage or the incestuous pleasure of his bed, at game a swearing or about some act that has no relish of salvation in't, then trip him, that his heels may kick at heaven, and that his soul may be as damned as black as hell whereto it goes. My mother stays. This physic but prolongs thy sickly days. My words fly up, my thoughts remain below. Words without thoughts never to go heaven go. A will comes straight. Look you lay home to him. Tell him his pranks have been too broad to bear with, and that in your grace hath screened and stood between much heat and him. I'll silence me even here. Pray you be round. I'll warrant you, fear me not, withdraw, I hear him coming. Now, mother, what's the matter? Hamlet? Thou hast thy father much offended. Mother, you have my father much offended. Come, come, you answer with an idle tongue. Go, go, you question with a wicked tongue. Why, how now, Hamlet? What's the matter now? Have you forgot me? No, by the rood, not so. You are the queen, your husband's brother's wife, and would it were not so, you are my mother. Nay, then I'll set those to you that can speak. Come, come, and sit you down. You shall not budge. You go not till I set you up a glass where you may see the inmost part of you. What wilt thou do? Thou wilt not murder me? Help! Ho! What ho? Help! How now, a rat? Dead for a ducat, dead! Oh! I am slain. Oh me, what hast thou done? Nay, I know not. Is it the king? Oh, what a rash and bloody deed is this! A bloody deed almost as bad, good mother, as kill a king and marry with his brother. As kill a king? Ay, lady. It was my word. Thou wretched, rash, intruding fool, farewell, I took thee for thy better. Take thy fortune, thou finds to be too busy some danger. Leave wringing of your hands, peace, sit you down, and let me wring your heart, for sell I shall, if it be made of penetrable stuff. If damned custom have not brazed it, so that it be proof and bulwark against sense, what have I done that thou dost wag thy tongue in so noise, so rude against me? Such an act that blurs the grace and blush of modesty, calls virtue hypocrite, takes off the rose from the fair forehead of an innocent love, and sets a blister there, makes marriage vows as false as Dithcer's oaths. Oh, such a deed, as from the body of contraction plucks the very soul, and sweet religion makes a rhapsody of words. Heaven's face does glow o'er this solidity, and compound mass, with heated visage as against the doom, is thought-sick at the act. Ay me, what act, that roars so loud and thunders in the index? Look here upon this picture, and on this, the counterfeit presentment of two brothers. See what a grace is seated on this brow. Hyperion's curls the front of Jove himself. An eye like Mars to threaten and command. A station like the herald Mercury, new lighted on a heaven-kissing hill. A combination and a form indeed, where every god did seem to set his seal to give the world assurance of a man. This was your husband. Look you now what follows. Here is your husband, like a mildewed ear, blasting his wholesome brother. Have you eyes? Could you on this fair mountain leave to feed and batten on this moor? Ha! Have you eyes? You cannot call it love, for at your age, the heyday in the blood is tame. It's humble, and waits upon the judgment. And what judgment would step from this to this? Sense sure you have, else could you not have motion, but sure that sense is apoplexed. For madness would not err, nor sense to ecstasy was ne'er so thralled, but it reserved some quantity of choice to serve in such difference. What devil was't that thus hath cozened you at hoodman blind, eyes without feeling, feeling without sight, ears without hands, or eyes smelling sands all, or but a sickly part of one true sense? could not so mope. Oh, shame! Where is thy blush, rebellious hell? If thou canst mutine in a matron's bones to flaming youth, let virtue be as wax, and melt in her own fire. Proclaim no shame when the compulsive ardor gives the charge, since frost itself as actively doth burn, and reason panders will. O Hamlet, speak no more. Thou turn'st my eyes into my very soul, and there I see such black and grained spots as will leave their tinct. Nay, but to live in the rank sweat of an enseamed bed, stewed in corruption, honeying and making love over the nasty sty. Oh, speak to me no more. These words, like daggers, enter in my ears. No more, sweet Hamlet. A murderer and a villain. A slave that is not 20th part the tithe of your precedent lord, a vice of kings, a cut purse of the empire and the rule, that from a shelf the precious diadem stole and put it in his pocket. No more. A king of shreds and packages. Safe be and hover over me with your wings, you heavenly guards. What would your gracious figure? Alas, he's mad. Do you not come your tardy son to chide? That lapsed in time and passion lets go by the important acting of your dread command. Oh, say, do not forget. This visitation is but to what they almost blunted purpose. But look, amazement on thy mother sits. Oh, step between her and her fighting soul. Conceit in weakest body's strongest works. Speak to her, Hamlet. How is it with you, lady? Alas, how is it with you? That you do bend your ear on vacancy, and with the incorporeal air do hold discourse? Forth at your eyes your spirits wildly peep, and as the sleeping soldiers in the alarm, your bedded hair, like life and excrements, start up and stand on end. O gentle son, upon the heat and flame of thy distemper sprinkle cool patience. Whereon do you look? On him! On him! Look you, how pale he glares, his form and cause conjoined. Preaching to stones would make them capable. Do not look upon me, lest with thy piteous action you convert my stern effects. Then what I have to do will want true color, tears perchance for blood. To whom do you speak this? Do you see nothing there? Nothing at all, yet all that I see. Nor did you nothing hear? No, nothing but ourselves. Why, look you there! Look how it steals away, my father in his habit as he lived. Look you where he goes out even now at the portal. This is the very coinage of your brain. This bodiless creation, ecstasy, is very cunning in. My pulse as yours doth temperately keep time and makes as healthful music. It is not madness that I have uttered. Bring me to the test, and I the matter will reword, which madness would gamble from. Mother, for love of grace, lay not that flattering unction to your soul, that not your trespass but my madness speaks. It will but skin and film the ulcerous place, whiles rank corruption, mining all within, infects unseen. Confess yourself to heaven. Repent what's past, avoid what is to come, and do not spread the compost on the weeds to make them rancor. Forgive me this, my virtue. For in the fatness of these pursy times, virtue itself of vice must pardon beg. Yea, curb and woo for leave to do him good. O Hamlet, thou hast cleft my heart in twain. Oh, throw away the worser part of it, and leave the purer with the other half. Good night. But go not to my uncle's bed. Assume a virtue if you have it not. That monster custom, who all sense doth eat of habits evil, is angel, yet in this, that to the use of actions fair and good, he likewise gives a frock or livery that aptly is put on. Refrain tonight, and that shall lend a kind of easiness to the next abstinence, the next more easy. For use almost can change the stamp of nature, and either lodge the devil or throw him out, with wondrous potency once more. Good night, and when you are desirous to be blessed, all blessing beg of you. For this same Lord I do repent, but heaven hath pleased it so to punish me with this, and this with me, that I must be their scourge and minister. I will bestow him, and will answer well the death I gave him. So again, good night. I must be cruel only to be kind. This bad begins, and worse remains behind. One more word, good lady, what shall I do? Not this by no means that I bid you do. Let the bloat king tempt you again to bed, pinch wanton on your cheek, call you his mouse, and let him, for a pair of reachy kisses, or paddling in your neck with his damned fingers make you to ravel all this matter out? That I essentially am not in madness, but mad in craft? 'Twere good you let him know. For who that's but a queen, fair, sober, wise, would from a paddock, from a jib, a bat, such dear concernings hide? Who would do so? No. In despite of sense and secrecy, unpeg the basket on the house's top, let the birds fly, and like the famous ape, to try conclusions in the basket creep, and break your own neck down. Be thou assured, if words be made of breath and breath of life, I have no life to breathe what thou hast said to me. I must to England. You know that? Alack, I'd forgot. 'Tis so concluded on. There's letters sealed, and my 2 schoolfellows, who I will trust as I will adders fanged, they bear the mandate. They must sweep my way and marshal me to knavery. Let it work. For 'tis the sport to have the engineer hoist with his own petard, and shall go hard. But I will delve 1 yard below their minds, and blow them at the moon. Oh, 'tis most sweet when in one line 2 crafts directly meet. This man shall set me packing. I'll lug the guts into the neighbor room. Mother, good night. Indeed, this counselor is now most still, most secret, and most grave, who was in life a foolish prating knave. Come, sir, to draw toward an end with you. Good night, mother. There's matter in these sighs, these profound heaves you must translate. 'Tis fit we understand them. Where is your son? Bestow this place on us a little while. Ah, mine own lord, what I have seen tonight. What, Gertrude, how does Hamlet? Mad as the sea and wind when both contend, which is the mightier. In his lawless fit behind the arras, bearing something stir, whips out his rapier, cries, a rat, and in this brainish apprehension kills the unseen good old man. Oh, heavy deed. It had been so with us, had we all been there. His liberty is full of threats to all. To you yourself, to us, to everyone. Alas, how shall this bloody deed be answered? It will be laid to us, whose providence should have kept short, restrained, and out of haunt this mad young man. But so much was our love, we would have not understand what was most fit. But like the owner of a foul disease, to keep it from divulging, let it feed even on the pith of life. Where is he gone? To draw apart the body he hath killed? Or whom his very madness, like some ore among a mineral of metals base, shows itself pure, weeps for what is done. Oh, Gertrude, come away. The sun no sooner shall the mountains touch, but we will ship him hence. This vile deed we must with all our majesty and skill both countenance and excuse. Ho, Guildenstern, friends both, go join you with some further aid. Hamlet in madness hath Polonius slain, and from his mother's closet hath he dragged him. Go seek him out, speak fair, and bring the body into the chapel, I pray you in haste. Come, Gertrude, we'll call up our wisest friends and let them know both what we mean to do and what's untimely done, whose whisper o'er the world's diameter, as level as the cannon to this blank, transports his poisoned shot. One miss may miss our name and hit the woundless air. Oh, come away. My soul is full of discord and dismay. Safely stowed, but soft, what noise? Who calls on Hamlet? Oh, here they come. What have you done, my lord, with the dead body? Compounded it with dust, whereto 'tis kin. Tell us where 'tis, that we may take it thence and bury it to the chapel. Do not believe it. Believe what? That I can keep your counsel and not mine own. Besides, to be demanded of a sponge, what replication should be made by the son of a king? Take you me for a sponge, my lord? Aye, sir, that soaks up the king's countenance, his reward, his authorities, but such officers do the king best service in the end. He keeps them like an ape in the corner of his jaw, first mouthed to be last swallowed. When he needs what you have gleaned, it is but squeezing you, and sponge, you will be dry again. I understand you not, my lord. I am glad of it. A knavish speech sleeps in a foolish ear. My lord, you must tell us where the body is, and go with us to the king. The body is with the king, but the king is not with the body. The king is a thing, my lord, of nothing. Bring me to him. I have sent to seek him and to find the body. How dangerous is that this man goes loose. Yet must not we put the strong law on him. He's loved of the distracted multitude, whose like not in their judgment, but their eyes. And where 'tis so, the offender's scourge is weighed, but never the offense. To bear all smooth and even, 'tis sudden sending away must seem deliberate pause. Diseases desperate grown by desperate appliances are relieved, or not at all. How now? What hath befallen? Where the dead body is bestowed, my lord, we cannot get from him. But where's he? Without, my lord, guarded to know your pleasure. Bring him before us. Ho! Bring in the lord. Now, Hamlet, where's Polonius? At supper. At supper, where? Not where he eats, but where it is eaten. A certain convocation of politic worms are e'en at him. Your worm is your only emperor for diet. We fat all creatures else to fat us, and we fat ourselves from maggots. Your fat king and your lean beggar is but variable of service. 2 dishes to 1 table. That's the end. Alas, alas, a man may fish with the worm that hath eats of a king, and eat of the fish that have fed of that worm. What does thou mean by this? Nothing but to show you how a king may go a progress through the guts of a beggar. Where is Polonius? In heaven. Send thither to see. If your messenger finds him not there, seek him at the other place yourself. But if indeed you find him not within this month, you shall nose him as you go up the stairs into the lobby. Go seek him there, and we'll stay till you come. Hamlet, this deed, for thine especial safety, which we do tender as we dearly grieve for that which thou hast done, must send thee hence with fiery quickness. Therefore prepare thyself. The bark is ready and the wind at whelp. The associates tend, and everything is bent for England. For England, I, Hamlet. Good. So is it, if thou knewest our purposes. I see a cherub that sees them, but come for England. Farewell, dear mother. Thy loving father, Hamlet. My mother. Father and mother is man and wife. Man and wife is one flesh. So, my mother. Come, for England. Follow him at foot. Tempt him with speed aboard. Delay it not. I'll have him hence tonight. Away! For everything is sealed and done. That else leans on the affair. Pray you make haste. And for England, if my love thou hold'st at aught, as my great power thereof may give the sense, since they Cicatrice looks raw and red after the Danish sword, and thy free awe pays homage to us. Thou mayst not coldly set forth our sovereign process, which imports at full by letters congruing to that effect the present death of Hamlet. Do it, England, for like the hectic in my blood he rages, and though thou must cure me, till I know 'tis done, howe'er my haps, my joys will ne'er begin. Go, captain. From me greet the Danish king. Tell him that by his license Fortinbras craves the conveyance of a promised march over his kingdom. You know the rendezvous, if that his majesty would aught with us. We shall express our duty in his eye. And now, let him know so. I will do it, my lord. Go softly on. Good sir, whose powers are these? They are of Norway, sir. How purposed, sir, I pray you? Against some part of Poland? Who commands them, sir? The nephew to old Norway, Fortinbras. Goes it against the main of Poland, sir, or for some frontier? Truly to speak, and with no addition, we go to gain a little patch of ground that hath in it no profit but the name. To pay 5 ducats, 5, I would not farm it. Not will it yield to Norway or the Pole a ranker rate, should it be sold in fee. Why then the Polack never will defend it. Yes, it is already garrisoned. 2,000 souls and 20,000 ducats will not debate the question of this straw. There is the imposthume of much wealth and peace that inward breaks and shows no cause without why the man dies. I humbly thank you, sir. God buy you, sir. Will it please you go, my lord? I'll be with you straight. Go a little before. How all occasions do inform me against and spur my dull revenge. What is man? If his chief good and marker as his time be but to sleep and feed, a beast, no more. Sure, he that made us with such large discourse looking before and after, gave us not that capability and godlike reason to fuss in us unused. Now, whether it be bestial oblivion or some craven scruple of thinking too precisely on the event, a thought which quartered hath but one part wisdom and ever 3 parts coward, I do not know. Why yet I live to say, this thing's to do. So that I have cause and will and strength and means to do it, examples gross as earth exhort me. Witness this army of such mass and charge, led by a delicate and tender prince, whose spirit, with divine ambition puffed, makes mouths at the invisible event, exposing what is mortal and unsure, to all that fortune, death, and danger dare. Even for an eggshell, rightly to be great is not to stir without great argument, but greatly to find quarrel and a straw, when honor's at the stake. How stand I then, that have a father killed, a mother stained, excitements of my reason and my blood, and let all sleep, while to my shame I see the imminent death of 20,000 men, that for a fantasy and trick of fame go to their graves like beds, fight for a plot whereon the numbers cannot try the cause, which is not tomb enough and continent to hide the slain. Oh, from this time forth my thoughts be bloody or nothing worth. I will not speak with her. She is importunate, indeed distract. Her mood will needs be pitied. What should she have? She speaks much of her father, says she hears him. There's tricks of the world and hems and beats her heart, spurns enviously at straws, speaks things in doubt that carry but half sense. Her speech is nothing, yet the unshaped use of it doth move the heavens to collection. They aim at it and botch the words up fit to their own thoughts, which as their winks and nods and gestures yield them, indeed would make one think there might be thought, though nothing sure, yet much unhappily. 'Twere good she were spoken with, for she may strew dangerous conjectures in ill-breeding minds. Let her come in. To my sick soul, as sin's true nature is, each toy seems prologue to some great amiss. So full of artless jealousy as guilt, it spills itself in fearing to be spilt. Where is the beauteous majesty of Denmark? How now, Ophelia? How should I true love know from one another by his cockle hat and staff and his sandal shoon? Alas, sweet lady, what imports this song? Say you, nay, pray you, mark. He is dead and gone, lady, he is dead and gone. At his head a grass-green turf, at his heels a stone. Oh, nay, but Ophelia, pray you, mark. White his shroud as the mountain snow, alas, look here, my lord, larded all with sweet flowers, which bewept to the ground, did not go with true love showers. How do you, pretty lady? Well, good dild you? Did they say the owl was a baker's daughter? Lord, we know what we are, but know not what we may be. God be at your table, conceit upon her father. Pray, let's have no words of this, but when they ask you what it means, say you this: tomorrow is St. Valentine's Day, all in the morning betime, and I am made at your window to be your Valentine. Then up he rose and donned his clothes, and chucked in chamber door, let in the maid, then out a maid, never departed more. Pretty Ophelia! Indeed, without an oath, I'll make an end on it. By Gis and by St. Jeremy, alack and fie for shame, young men will do it if they come to it. By cock, they are to blame. Quoth she, before you tumbled me, you promised me to wed. He answers, so would I ha' done by yonder sun, and thou hadst not come in my bed. How long hath she been thus? I hope all will be well. We must be patient, but I cannot choose but weep to think that they would lay him in the cold ground. My brother shall know of it, and so I thank you for your good counsel. Come, my coach. Good night, ladies, good night. Sweet ladies, good night, good night. Follow her close, give her good watch, I pray you. Oh, this is the poison of deep grief. It springs all from her father's death, and now behold, oh Gertrude, Gertrude, when sorrows come, they come not in single spies, but in battalions. First her father slain, next your son gone, and he most violent author of his own just remove. The people muddied, thick and unwholesome in their thoughts, and whispers for good Polonius' death, and we have done but greenly in hugger-mugger to inter him. Poor Ophelia divided from herself and her fair judgment, without the which we are pictures or mere beasts. Last, and as much containing as all these, her brother is in secret come but from France, feeds on this wonder, keeps himself in clouds, and wants not buzzards to infect his ear with pestilent speeches of his father's death. Where in necessity of matter beggared, will nothing stick our person to arraign in ear and ear. Oh, my Gertrude, this, like a murdering peace, in many places gives me a superfluous death. Attend! Where's my Switzers? Let them guard the door. What is the matter? Save yourself, my lord. The ocean overpeering on the list eats not the flats with more impetuous haste than young Laertes in a riotous head o'erbears your officers. The rabble call him lord, and as the world were now but to begin, antiquity forgot, custom not known. The ratifiers and props of every word, they cry, choose we, Laertes shall be king. Caps, hands, and tongues applauded to the clouds. Laertes shall be king, Laertes king. How cheerfully on this false trail they cry, oh, this counter, you false Danish dogs. The doors are broke. Where is this king? Sirs, stand you all without. No, let's come in. I pray you give me leave. We will. I thank you. Keep the door. O thou vile king, give me my father. Calmly, good Laertes. That drop of blood that's calm proclaims me bastard. Cries cuckold to my father, brands the harlot even here between the chaste, unsmirched brow of my true mother. What is the cause, Laertes, that thy rebellion looks so giant-like? Let him go, Gertrude. Do not fear our person. There's such divinity doth hedge a king that treason can but peep to what it would, acts little of his will. Tell me, Laertes, why thou art thus incensed? Let him go, Gertrude. Speak, man. Where's my father? Dead. But not by him. Let him demand his fill. How came he dead? I'll not be juggled with. To hell allegiance. Vows to the blackest devil, conscience and grace to the profoundest pit. I dare damnation. To this point I stand. That both the worlds give to negligence, let come what comes. Only I'll be revenged most thoroughly for my father. Who shall stay you? My will, not all's the world. And for my means I'll husband them so well they shall go far with little. Good Laertes, if you desire to know the certainty of your dear father, it's writ in your revenge. That sweepstake you will draw both friend and foe, winner and loser, none but his enemies. Will you know them then? To his good friends thus wide I'll ope my arms, and like the kind life-rendering pelican, repast them with my blood. Why, now you speak like a good child and a true gentleman. That I am guiltless of your father's death, and am most sensibly in grief for it. It shall as level to your judgment pair as day does to your eye. How now? What noise is that? Oh, heat! Draw up my brains. 7 times salt burn out the sense and virtue of mine eye. By heaven, thy madness shall be paid with weight till our scale turn the beam. O Rose of May, dear maid, kind sister, sweet Ophelia. Oh heavens, it's possible a young maid's wits should be mortal as an old man's life? They bore him barefaced on the bier, and in his grave ruined many a tear. Fare you well, my dove. Hadst thou thy wits, and didst persuade revenge, it could not move thus. You must sing a down, and you call him a downa. And how the wheel becomes it? It is the false steward that stole his master's daughter. This nothing's more than matter. There's rosemary that's for remembrance. Pray you, love, remember. And there's pansies that's for thoughts. A document in madness. Thoughts and remembrance fitted. There's fennel for you and columbines. There's rue for you, and here's some for me. We may call it herb of grace o' Sundays. You must wear your true rue with a difference. There's a daisy. I would give you some violets, but they withered all when my father died. They say I made a good end, for bonny sweet Robin is all my joy. Thoughts and afflictions, passions, hell itself, she turns to favor and to prettiness. And will it not come again? And will it not come again? No, no, he's dead. Go to thy deathbed. He will never come again. His beard was as white as snow. Flaxen was his poll. He is gone, he is gone. And we cast away moan. God have mercy on his soul, and of all Christian souls. God by you. Do you see this, O God? Laertes, I must commune with your grief, or you deny me right. Go but apart, make choice of whom your wisest friends you will, and they shall hear and judge twixt you and me. If by direct or by collateral hand they find us touched, we will our kingdom give, our crown, our life, and all that we call ours, to you in satisfaction. But if not, be you content to lend your patience to us, and we shall jointly labor with your soul to give it due content. Let this be so. His means of death, his obscure funeral, no trophy, sword, nor hatchment, or his bones, no noble rite, nor formal ostentation, cried to be heard, as 'twere from heaven to earth, that I must call in question. So you shall. And where the offense is, let the great axe fall. I pray you go with me. What are they that would speak with me? Seafaring men. They say they have letters for you. Let them come in. I do not know from what part of the world I should be greeted, if not from Lord Hamlet. God bless you, sir. Let him bless thee too. I shall, sir, and it please him. There's a letter for you, sir. It came from the ambassador that was bound for England. For your name be Horatio, as I am led to know. Horatio, when thou shalt have overlooked this, give these fellows some means to the king. They have letters for him. Ere we were 2 days old at sea, a pirate of very warlike appointment gave us chase. Finding ourselves too slow of sail, we put on a compelled valor, and in the grapple I boarded them. On the instant they got clear of our ship, so I alone became their prisoner. They have dealt with me like thieves of mercy, but they knew what they did. I am to do a turn for them. Let the king have the letters. I have sent them, and repair thou to me with as much speed as thou wouldst fly death. I have words to speak in thine ear, and will make thee dumb, yet are they much too light for the bore of the matter. These good fellows will bring thee where I am. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern hold their course for England. Of them I am much to tell thee. Farewell. He that thou knowest thine Hamlet. Come, I will give you way for these letters, and do it to speedier that you may direct me to him from whom you brought them. Now must your conscience my acquaintance seal, and you must put me in your heart for friend. Sith have you heard, and with a knowing ear, that he which hath your noble father slain pursued my life. It well appears, but tell me why you proceeded not against these feats so criminal and so capital in nature, as by your safety, wisdom, all things else, you mainly were stirred up. Oh, for 2 special reasons, which may to your perhaps seem much unsinewed, but yet to me they are strong. The queen, his mother, lives almost by his looks, and for myself, my virtue or my plague, be it either which, she is so conjunctive to my life and soul that as the star moves not but in his sphere, I could not by her. The other motive why to a public account I might not go is the great love the general gender bear him, who dipping all his faults in their affection work like the spring that turneth wood to stone, convert his gifts to graces, so that my arrows, too slightly timbered for so loud a wind, would have revered to my bow again, but not where I had aimed them. And so I have a noble father lost, a sister driven into desperate terms, whose worth, if praises may go back again, stood challenger on mount of all the age for her perfections. But my revenge will come. Break not your sleeps for that. You must not think that we are made of stuff so flat and dull that we can let out our beard and be shook with danger. And think it pastime. You shortly shall hear more. I loved your father, and we love ourselves. And that, I hope, will teach you to imagine. These to your majesty, this is to the queen. From Hamlet? Who brought them? Sailors, my lord, they say. I saw them not. They were given me by Claudio. He received them of him that brought them. Laertes, you shall hear them. Leave us. High and mighty, you shall know I am set naked in our kingdom. Tomorrow shall I beg to leave your kingly eyes, when I shall, first asking your pardon thereunto, recount the occasion of my sudden return. What should this mean? And all are set from back? Or is it some abuse, or no such thing? Know ye the hand? 'Tis Hamlet's character. Naked? And in the postscript here he says, alone. Can you devise me? I am lost in it, my lord. But let him come. It warns the very sickness in my heart that I shall live and tell him the teeth. To his teeth, thus didst thou. If it be so, Laertes, as how should it be so? How otherwise? Will you be ruled by me? I, my lord, so you will not o'errule me to a peace. To thine own peace, if he now returned, as checking at his voyage, and that means no more to undertake it, I will work him to an exploit now ripe in my device, under the which he shall not choose but fall. And for his death no wind of blame shall breathe, but even his mother shall uncharge the practice and call it accident. My lord, I will be ruled, the rather of it you could devise it so that I might be the organ. It falls right. You have been talked of since your travels much, and that in Hamlet's hearing, for a quality wherein they say you shine. Your sum of parts did not together pluck some envy from him, as did that one, and that, in my regard, of the unworthiest siege. What part is that, my lord? A very ribbon in the cap of youth, yet needful too, for youth no less becomes the light and careless livery that it wears, than settled age, his sables and his weeds importing health and graveness. 2 months since here was a gentleman of Normandy. I have seen myself and served against the French, and they can well on horseback, but this gallant had witchcraft in it. He grew unto his seat, and so to wondrous doing brought his horse, as had he been encorpsed and demenatured with the brave beast. So far he topped my thought that I, in forgery of shapes and tricks, come short of what he did. A Norman was't? A Norman. Upon my life, Lamord, the very same. I know him well. He is the brooch indeed, and gem of all the nation. He made confession of you, and gave you such a masterly report for art and exercise in your defense, and for your rapier most especial, that he cried out, 'twould be a sight indeed if one could match you. The scrimers of their nation, he swore in neither motion guard nor I, if you opposed them. Sir, this report of his did Hamlet so envenom with his envy, that he could do nothing but wish and beg your sudden coming or to play with you. Now out of this, what out of this, my lord? Laertes, was your father dear to you, or are you like the painting of a sorrow, a face without a heart? Why ask you this? Not that I think you did not love your father, but that I know love is begun in time, and that I see in passages of proof time qualifies the spark and fire of it. There lives within the very flame of love a kind of wick or snuff that will abate it, and nothing is at a like goodness still, for goodness growing to a pleurisy dies in his own too much. That we would do, we should do when we would, for this would changes and hath abatements and delays as many as there are tongues, are hands, are accidents. And then this should is like a spendthrift sigh that hurts by easing. But to the quick of the ulcer, Hamlet comes back. What would you undertake to show yourself indeed your father's son, more than in words? To cut his throat of the church? No place indeed should murder sanctuarize. Revenge should have no bounds, but good Laertes, will you do this? Keep close within your chamber. Hamlet returned shall know you are come home. Will put on those, shall praise your excellence, and set a double varnish on the fame the Frenchman gave you. Bring you in fine together and wager o'er your heads. He being remiss, most generous, and free from all contriving, will not peruse the foils, so that with ease or with little shuffling you may choose a sword unbaited, and in a pass of practice requite him for your father. I will do it, and for the purpose I'll anoint my sword. I brought an unction of a mountebank, so mortal that but dip a knife in it, where it draws blood, no cataplasm so rare collected from all simples that have virtue under the moon can save the thing from death, that it but scathed withal. I'll touch my point with this contagion that, if I gall him slightly, it may be death. Let's further think of this. Weigh what convenience, both of time and means, may fit us to our shape. If this should fail, and that our drift look through our bad performance, 'twere better not assuade. Therefore, the project should have a back or a second that might hold. If this did blast in proof, soft, let me see. We'll make a solemn wager on your cunnings. I had. When in your motion you are hot and dry, as make your bouts more violent to that end, and that he calls for a drink, I'll have prepared for him a chalice for the nonce, wherein but sipping, if he by chance escape your venom stuck, our purpose may hold true. But stay, what noise? One woe doth tread upon another's heel, so fast they follow. Your sister's drowned, Laertes. Drowned? Oh, where? There's a willow, grows askant the brook, that shows his hoary leaves in the glassy stream. Therewith fantastic garlands did she make of crow flowers, nettles, daisies, and long purples, that liberal shepherds give grosser name. But our cold maids do dead men's fingers call them. There on the pendant brought her crownet weeds, clambering to hang in envious silver broke. When down her weedy trophies and herself fell in the weeping brook, her clothes spread wide and mermaid-like, awhile they bore her up, which time she chanted snatches of old lauds as one incapable of her own distress, or like a creature of native and endured unto that elements, but long it could not be, till that her garments, heavy with their drink, pulled the poor wretch from her melodious lay to muddy death. Alas, then she is drowned. Too much of water hast thou, poor Ophelia, and therefore I forbid my tears. But yet it is our trick. Nature custom holds, let shame say what it will. When these are gone, the woman will be out. Adieu, my lord, I have speech of fire, that fain would blaze, but this folly drowns it. Let's follow, Gertrude. How much I had to do to calm his rage, now fear I this will give it start again. Therefore let's follow. Is she to be buried in Christian burial when she willfully seeks her own salvation? I tell thee she is, therefore make her grave straight. The crowner hath sat on her and finds it Christian burial. How can that be, unless she's drowned herself in her own defense? Why, 'tis found so. It must be, say offendo, it cannot be else. For here lies the point. If I drown myself wittingly, it argues an act, and an act hath three branches. It is to act, to do, to perform. Argal, she drowned herself wittingly. Nay, but hear you, goodman Delver. Give me leave, here lies the water, good. Here stands the man, good. If the man goes to the water and drowns himself, it is, will he, nil he goes. Mark you that. But if the water come to him and drown him, he drowns not himself, Argal. He is not guilty of his own death, shortens not his own life. But is this law? Ay, marry, is't. Crowner's quest law. Will you have the truth on it? If this had not been a gentlewoman, she would have been buried at the Christian burial. Why, there thou sayest. And the more pity that great folk should have continence in this world to drown or hang themselves more than they're even Christian. Come, my spade, there is no ancient gentleman, but gardeners, ditchers, and grave makers. They have hold up Adam's profession. Was he a gentleman? Oh, was the first that ever bore arms. I'll put another question to thee. If thou answerest me not to the purpose, confess thyself. Go to. What is that he that builds stronger than either the mason, the shipwright, or the carpenter? The gallows maker. For that frame outlives 1,000 tenants. I like thy wit well, in good faith. The gallows does well. But how does it well? It does well to those that do ill. Now, those, now thou dost ill to say the gallows is built stronger than the church. Argal, the gallows may do well to thee. To it again, come. Who builds stronger than a mason, a shipwright, or a carpenter? Aye, tell me that, and unyoke. Marry, now I can tell. To it. Mass, I cannot tell. Cudgel thy brains no more about it, for your dull ass will not mend his pace by beating. And when you are asked this question next, say a grave maker. The houses he makes lasts till doomsday. Go, get thee in and fetch me a stoup of liquor. In youth, when I did love, me thought it was very sweet to contract. Oh, time for my behove. Oh, me bethought there was nothing meet. Has this fellow no feeling of his business? Sings in grave making? Custom hath made it in him for property of easiness. 'Tis e'en so. The band of little employment hath a daintier sense. But age with this stealing steps hath clawed me in his clutch, and hath shipped me into the land, as if I had never been such. That skull had a tongue in it, and could sing once. How the knave jowls it to the ground as if it were Cain's jawbone that did the first murder. This might be the pate of a politician, which this ass now o'erreaches. One that would circumvent God, might it not? It might, my lord. Or of a courtier, which could say good morning, good morrow, sweet lord, how dost thou, sweet lord? This might be my lord such a one, that praised my lord such a one's horse, where a man to beg it, might it not? Ay, my lord. Why, e'en so. And now my lady worms, chopless and knocked about the mazered with a sexton's spade. Here's fine resolution. And we had the trick to see it. Did these bones cost no more the breeding, but to play at the loggets with them? Mine ache to think on it. A pickaxe and a spade for a shrouding sheet. Oh, a pity of clay for to be made for a guest is meet. There's another. Why may not be the skull of a lawyer? Where's his quiddities now, his quilities, his cases, his tenures, and his tricks? Why does he suffer this mad knave now to knock him about the sconce with a dirty shovel, and will not tell him of his action of battery? Hum! This fellow might be in his time a great buyer of land, with his statues, his recognizances, his fines, his double vouchers, his recoveries. In this, that the fine of his fines and the recovery of his recoveries, so have his fine pate, full of fine dirt. Will his vouchers vouch him no more of his purchases, and double ones too, than the length of his breadth of a pair of indentures? The very conveyance of his lands will scarcely lie in the box, and must the inheritor himself have no more. Not a jot more, my lord. Is not parchment made of sheepskin? Ay, my lord, and of calfskin too. They are sheep and calves which seek out assurance in that. I will speak to this fellow, whose grave's this, sirrah. Mine, sir. Oh, a pity of clay for to be made. I think it be thine indeed, for thou liest in it. You lie out on it, sir, and therefore 'tis not yours. For my part, I do not lie in it, yet it is mine. Thou dost lie in it, to be in it, and say it is thine. 'Tis for the dead, not for the quick, therefore thou liest. 'Tis a quick lie, sir, 'twill away again from me to you. What man dost thou dig it for? For no man, sir. What woman, then? For none neither. Who is to be buried in it? One that was a woman, sir, but rest her soul, she's dead. How absolute the knave is. We must speak by the card, or equivocation will undo us. By the Lord, Horatio, this 3 years I have took note of it, the age is grown so picked, that the toe of a peasant comes so near the heel of the courtier, he galls his kibe. How long hast thou been a grave maker? Of all the days of the year, I came to it that day that our last King Hamlet overcame Fortinbras. How long is that since? Cannot you tell that? Every fool can tell that. It was the very day that young Hamlet was born. He that is mad and sent to England. I marry. Why was he sent into England? Why, because he was mad. I shall recover his wits there, or if it do not, 'tis no great matter there. Why? 'Twill not be seen in him there. There the men are as mad as he. How came he mad? Very strangely, they say. How strangely. Faith, e'en with losing his wits. Upon what ground? Why, here in Denmark. I have been Saxon here, man and boy, 30 years. How long will a man lie the earth ere he rot? Faith, it be not rotten before it die, as we have many pocky corpses nowadays that will scarce hold the laying in. It will last you some 8 year or 9 year. A tanner will last you 9 year. Why he more than another? Why, sir, his hide is so tanned that his trade that will keep water so great a while, and your water is a sore decayer of your horse and dead body. Here's a skull now, hath lain you of the earth 23 years. Whose was it? A horse and mad fellow's it was. Whose do you think it was? Nay, I know not. A pestilence on him for a mad rogue. I poured a flagon of Rhenish on my head once. This same skull, sir, was Sir Yorick's skull, the king's jester. This, e'en that. Alas, poor Yorick. I knew him, Horatio, a fellow of infinite jest, of most excellent fancy. He hath borne me on his back 1,000 times, and now, how abhorred in my imagination it is. My gorge rises at it. Here hung those lips that I have kissed I know not how oft. Where be your jibes now, your gimbles, your songs, your flashes of merriment, that were wont to set the table on a roar, not now on mock these your own grinning? Quite chop-fallen. Now get you to my lady's table, and tell her, let her paint an inch thick, so this favour she must come. Make her laugh at that, prithee. Horatio, tell me one thing. What's that, my lord? Dost thou think Alexander looked at this fashion of the earth? E'en so. And smelt so? Pah! E'en so, my lord. To what base uses we may return, Horatio? Why may not imagination trace the noble dust of Alexander till it find it stopping a bunghole? 'Twere to consider too curiously, to consider so. No, faith, not a jot, but to follow him thither with modesties enough, and the likelihood to lead it. Alexander died. Alexander was buried. Alexander returneth to dust. The dust is earth, and of earth we must make loam. And why of that loam whereto he was converted might not that stop a beer barrel? Imperious Caesar, dead and turned to clay, might stop a hole to keep the wind away. Oh, that the earth, which kept the world in awe, should patch a wall to expel the winter's flaw. But soft a while. Here comes the king, the queen, the courtiers. Who is this they follow? And with such maimed rites, this doth betoken, for due its own life, 'twas of some estate. Couch me a while, and mark. What ceremony else? This is Laertes, a very noble youth, mark. What ceremony else? Her obsequies have been so far enlarged as we have warranty. Her death was doubtful, but that great command o'ersways the order, she should in ground unsanctified have lodged till the last trumpet. For charitable prayers, flints and pebbles should be thrown on her. Yet here she is allowed her virgin krantz, her maiden struments, and her bringing home of bell and burial. Must there be no more be done? No more be done. We should profane the service of the dead to sing a requiem and such a rest to her as to peace-parted souls. Lay her the earth, and from her fair and unpolluted flesh may violets spring. I tell thee, churlish priest, a ministering angel shall my sister be when thou liest howling. What? The fair Ophelia? Sweets to the sweet. Farewell. I hoped thou shouldst have been my Hamlet's wife. I thought thy bride bed to have decked, sweet maid, and not have strewed thy grave. Oh, treble woe, fall 10 times, double on that cursed head, whose wicked deed thy most ingenious sense deprived thee of. Hold off the earth a while, till I have caught her once more in my arms. Now pile your dust upon the quick and the dead, till of this flat a mountain you have made to o'erstop old Pelion or the skyish head of blue Olympus. What is he whose grief bears such an emphasis, whose phrase of sorrow conjures the wandering stars and makes them stand like wonder-wounded hearers? This is I, Hamlet the Dane. The devil take thy soul. Thou prayest not well. I prithee, take thy fingers from my throat, for though I am not splentative and rash, yet I have in me something dangerous, which let thy wisdom fear. Hold off thy hand. Pluck thy asunder. Hamlet, Hamlet, gentlemen, good my lord, be quiet. Why, I will fight with him upon the theme until my eyelids will no longer wag. Oh, my son, what theme? I loved Ophelia. 40,000 brothers could not, with all their quantity of love, make up my sum. What wilt thou do for her? Oh, he is mad, Laertes. For love of God, forbear him. Swoons! Show me what thou do. Who'd weep? Who'd fight? Who'd fast? Who'd tear thyself? Who'd drink up easel, eat a crocodile? I'll do it. Dost come here to whine, to outface me with leaping in her grave, be buried quick with her, and so will I. And if thou prate of mountains, let them know, millions of acres on us, till our ground, singeing his pate against his burning zone, make Ossa like a wart. Nay, and then I'll mouth, I'll rant as well as thou. This is mere madness, and thus a while the fit will work on him, anon as patient as the female dove when that her golden couplets are disclosed, his silence will sit drooping. Hear you, sir, what is the reason that you use me thus? I loved you ever, but it is no matter. Let Hercules himself do what he may. The cat will mew, and dog will have his day. I pray thee, good Horatio, wait upon him. Strengthen your patience in your life.